Alright, this is the question which is known as a closed test. It's basically a fill in the blank question wherein you've been given this paragraph and you have blanks over here numbered A, B, C to E, and what you need to do is you need to figure out from these options given below which one of them fits the blank. Now the important part about this question is that you sometimes might want to solve C before you can solve A. And why is that? Because the context will tell you, when you read the context completely, that is when you get to know, okay, which blank is going to have which option, right? So that's why it's necessary to read the entire context and then try and fill in the blank. So let's just read it once. It says the narrow creek was, for one thing, all right, the creek was narrow. Then it says it was tortuous, fairly deep, filled with gloom, right? That's what it says about the creek. Now what is the word that would fall here for that creek? It was like a dash, tortuous, fairly deep, filled with gloom. So we know what a maze is. A maze cannot probably be the answer here, right? Yeah, that's what a maze is, right? So it cannot be a maze here for that matter. An aisle, we know, is the passage between two seats. For instance, in an airplane, right, we know it cannot be maze, it cannot be aisle. It cannot be snag, because snag means a glitch or a problem. It has to be an abyss. An abyss is a deep chasm, a deep pit or hole, right? That's what you can say, or a fissure in the ground, and that is why it would fit here for the A1. So we got D as the answer for that question. We come to the next one, the next blank. It says immense trees soared up, invisible behind the dashed draperies of creepers. Now what would you use for creepers, right, and or draperies for that matter? The point is, grotesque is not a word which you can use here. Grotesque means something which is let's say distorted, or something which is ugly. We know that when it talks of draperies, draperies cannot be distorted, right? So we eliminate A. Festoon could be the answer here, and is actually the answer here, because what festoon means is when you hang something up to let's say adorn it, or let's say decorate something. That is the word festoon. For example, the ceiling, when I reached the party, the ceiling was festooned with balloons and flyers, and that is how you would use the word there. We know what shredded means, doesn't fit the context here. We know what secure means, doesn't fit the context here too. C, you got let's read it. It says the short words of the paddlers dash loud and clear between the thick and somber walls. So what were the words doing between the walls, right? Were they howling? Were the words howled? Were they emblazoned? See, emblazoned we know cannot be the answer, since emblazoned means to let's say write something on a wall with great elaborate writing. That is what emblazoned means. Or not just on a wall, any surface for that matter. Reverberated, we know, is another word for echoed. So when you read the context, it sounds like the voice was echoing between the thick somber walls of vegetation, and that's why we choose C as the answer. Babbled, we know, doesn't have anything to do with it. To babble means to speak things in confusion, just keep saying things, right, without making any sense. We know howl means to scream or shout, and cannot be the answer here in that case. To D says darkness dash out from between the trees through the tangled maze of the creepers from behind the great, fantastic and unstirring leaves, right? That's what it says. So what did darkness do? How did it emerge, let's say, or come out, or what did it do, right, out from between the trees? Now it gives you a sense of slowly coming through, right? And that's why for this we will choose the option A. We'll choose option A. Means peered. What does peered mean? To peer is to come slightly into view, slowly, right? Emerge partly. And that is why we know that slowly darkness came through between the trees, through the tangled maze of creepers. That's what it says. We know that darkness wouldn't peek. To peek is to look from behind a hiding place, right? Look slowly or gently, or hide behind and look. So we cannot take that as the answer. We know what dashed means, and we know that the meaning of the word mire, we know what mire is, right? A mire is basically deep pit which is full of, let's say, or an area of deep slimy mud. So mire basically means basically means dirty or you know, like in a pit, so that can't be the answer. Bountiful, let's read the context. It says, unstirring leaves, the darkness mysterious and invincible, the darkness scented and poisonous of the dash forests. What kind of forests were these? Were they bountiful? Bountiful means plentiful. Is that the answer here in this case? No, the answer for this one obviously has to be D, which is impenetrable. See, we talked about a lot of vines and trees, and it was a dark, invincible forest, right? Mysterious and all, and that's why it has to be impenetrable. Don't just be fooled by the word mysterious. There's also the word darkness. So darkness would only be in an impenetrable when light could not pass, when something cannot pass through, right? So that's why. Otherwise, people might have thought that it could be haunted because of the word mysterious. It is not. The context doesn't give that away. It cannot be mystical. Mysterious is already given there, and it cannot be bountiful or plenty. The word is impenetrable, because bountiful is a word with a positive connotation, right? While impenetrable again is not a negative word, but then fits here because we're talking of darkness, because of the trees, right? A lot of trees that were there. So we have the answers for the closed test now.